I don't think any white person can really understand what it is to be a Negro in America.
There will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted his citizenship rights.
We didn't want to be forced into doing something. And this is, in one sense, is what it was. We were intimidated, we were threatened.
Segregationists learned to beat the civil rights movement at its own game. The movement leaders had to find new ways to fight back, but it was still no easy walk.
I know the one thing we did right was the day we started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on.
I draw the line in the dust and toss the gauntlet before the feet of tyranny, and I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
On January 14, 1963, these words made Alabama Governor George Wallace the symbol of Southern resistance. That year, movement leaders targeted the largest city in his state for a major civil rights confrontation, Birmingham, Alabama, a city that had attracted national attention for its strict segregation and racial hatred. A city that some call Bombingham because of the many bomb attacks against blacks.
Jesus, hold my hand.
For years, Reverend Fred Shuttlesworth and others had fought the segregated system. In 1956, Shuttlesworth demanded the desegregation of city buses. Many of his friends tried to talk him out of it.
They said, we ought to stop and think this thing out. I said, there's nothing to think out. We say we're going to ride, and we ride. We do what we say for a change. So we rode the buses, and over 250 people got arrested, I guess, enjoying desegregated riding.
Because of his efforts, his house and church were bombed as he slept.
He blew the floor out from under my bed, space of, I guess, 15 feet. The springs that I was lying on, we never found them. I walked out from this. Instead of running away from the blast, running away from the Klansmen, I said to the Klansman police that came, he said, Reverend, if I were you, I'd get out of town fast as I could. I said, officer, you're not me. You go back and tell your Klan brethren that if God could keep me through this, then I'm here for the duration. I think that's what gave people the feeling that I wouldn't run, I didn't run, and that God had to be there.
In September of 1957, Shuttlesworth was attacked again as he tried to enroll his children in an all-white school. This kind of violence was not stopped by city officials. The most famous was Commissioner of Public Safety, Theophilus Eugene Connor, Bull Connor, whose opinions earned him election to 6 terms.
The so-called Negro movement is a part of the attempted takeover of our country by the lazy, the indolent, the beatniks, the ignorant, and by some misguided religionists and bleeding hearts, and all being led by the politicians who stay in office by appealing, remember, not to reason, but to the most votes.
Public sentiment turned against Connor in 1961 when the Freedom Riders were attacked in Birmingham on Mother's Day. Connor was linked to the Klan violence, and the local newspaper demanded to know where his police had been. The incident attracted national attention, and the city was embarrassed into taking action.
Something had to be changed. The business community, when they had supported Bull Connor for election, they really hadn't intended for him to do things like allowing things like the bus station to occur.
It was too late for an easy change. Birmingham was on a collision course with the national civil rights movement, and movement leaders were ready. They had just learned some hard lessons in a small city in southwest Georgia, Albany. Here, Martin Luther King suffered what some have called one of his greatest defeats. The Albany campaign started in 1961. Young organizers from the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, came here to help the black community organize against segregation. In November, a federal agency ordered the desegregation of all facilities used for interstate travel. SNCC Representative Charles Sherrod sent students into the Trailways bus station to see if local authorities would arrest them.
Some of us really didn't think they would get arrested because this was a federal mandate. They mess with us now, but they're going to get the federal government on them, you know. Nobody's going to mess with the federal government, we thought.
But the students were arrested. Sherrod and SNCC continued to work with the community, finding it rewarding because of a special quality they found in the people of Albany.
If you have a gold mine, then there's a point in the gold mine where you have the richest part. And that's called the mother lode. That's what Albany is to black people, in terms of just the concentrated essence of the spirit of the people. And if you can imagine black people at our most powerful point in terms of community and peoplehood, then that's Albany, Georgia.
The black community attacked segregation wherever it existed. Demonstrations took place throughout the city, at libraries, schools, movie theaters, and City Hall.
And we just push pressure down. Sometimes we don't know who controls this, who controls the other. So we stomp around and stomp and see whose feet we get. And then somebody's going to holler, "Oh, you got me." So then when he hollers, that's the direction we go in. And that was the general strategy. We didn't know what we were doing.
You want to know what the Negro in Albany is going to do? He's going to do whatever is necessary to ensure his freedom.
Dr. William G. Anderson was president of the Albany Movement, an umbrella organization formed to coordinate all the civil rights groups in the community. By mid-December, Dr. Anderson became concerned because more than 500 demonstrators had been jailed.
These were common, ordinary, everyday people, housewives, cooks, maids, laborers, children out of school. We had made no provisions for these people going to jail because we did not anticipate the mass arrest. So we concluded that night that we are into something that really we need some expert help in.
Dr. Anderson invited Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. to help in Albany. King brought with him the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, a civil rights organization based in black churches and led by ministers.
They had asked Martin to come down just to make a speech, and he went only to make a speech.
So Dr. King, right, he came there with not even an overnight bag or a toothbrush, responded to my call. And I do not anticipate that he expected to get as intimately involved with the Albany movement as he did.
Dr. Anderson got carried away and in public asked Martin to demonstrate, to lead the march with them, and he agreed. And then he got put in jail, and with no plan, no thought of what we were going to do.
King accepted release from jail. As he divided his time between Albany and other commitments, SNCC grew unhappy with SCLC's role.
When Dr.